The landscapes of our lives are for learning, where experience is our teacher. When we gather together to share our resources, we are destined to love and thrive. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning. Good morning, Maureen.
All right, here we are, back again, podcasting.
Yeah,
What do we have
podcast.
for our audience today?
Well, I'm teeing up really, and I can't believe we're getting to him so late. One of my favorite podcasters, and pretty much is one of the first that I listened to. Rich Roll.
Oh, yeah, Rich Roll.
Yeah, with the clicking bicycle wheel intro music. Absolutely love it. He was talking with, oh, come on, Pierre.
Are we going to talk about who Rich Roll is?
Yeah, we can do that. I probably should. I should probably look
I
him up.
was just going to say, I think I found him through because I was listening to Joe Rogan, and I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. So then, I don't know, it came up in my feed, so I checked it out, and I thought he was kind of goofy and like peace and love and dude, because of his picture, like on the podcast thing. He's
Yeah.
evolved. And anyways, long story short, I really liked him, and I read his book. I went and got the book about the ultra marathon, and I
Right.
kind of loved his story, and I love his kind of AA recovery story too, and how he really is a big proponent of that. And yeah, so that's just my connection with him.
Yeah. So you touched on quite a few different parts. A graduate of Stanford University and the Cornell Law School. He was an attorney working and kind of burning out, alcoholic and successful, and then kind of pulled the plug on that and decided to do podcasting fairly early on. And he and his wife they were going to be evicted from their house. It was, hand to mouth there for a while. He became an ultra athlete. So, running 100-mile races,
Swimming,
five
triathlete.
Ironman
Yeah.
distant, he did 5 Ironman distance triathlons on 5 islands in Hawaii under a week. You know, 2-day 170-mile cycling race, all these different things. And
He was a nerd. He was like a total dweeby nerd who like was this, and this is by his own account, like skinny, glasses, little kid, and his dad was a lawyer, and he's to me, he's like the poster child and prototypical story of your parents tell you what to do, like go to college, get a good job, have a family, white picket fence story that I remember hearing so often from my high school students. Like that's the life you're supposed to
I
go.
want to be, yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of just went along and did it, and then was like, I'm miserable. What am I doing? And I know he always urges people like, you got to listen to that part of yourself, your real self. And sometimes it's hard to, follow a dream or who you really are when it conflicts with, other people's expectations and so forth. But he said he was a really scrawny kid, but he was an amazing swimmer. He became like a collegiate swimmer.
He was a collegiate butterfly swimmer, and he was just great. In his 20s, he just got involved with drugs and alcohol and found himself in a very difficult situation, and went to rehab at age 31. It says here, although sober, at around 31, he found himself overweight and just not feeling well,
Yeah.
and couldn't deal with a staircase, apparently.
Yeah.
Calls it a staircase epiphany. He overhauled his diet, put on running shoes, and this guy is super, super driven. And decided to do all those ultra marathon things.
We should
Uh,
give his wife a little credit because, or a lot of credit because she was very yogi, healthy, eating, a real organic, great diet, and was always kind of trying to get him to do that and improve. And then once he had that scare on the staircase, he thought he was having a heart attack or whatever.
right.
He his wife was like, okay, here, drink this, eat this, whatever. And he did. And that, she was a big influence on, his veganism and the dietary part and all of that. And yeah, so I think, she was a big part of his transformation.
Yeah. He and his wife have 4 children. And one of the things that I liked about his podcast is with were the guests that he interviewed. But last night I listened to a 3-hour podcast. He does these long ones, typically around a book which he reads very thoroughly and researches. And, the lawyer in him, the perfectionist in him, it's 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 deep conversation. Sometimes you can't last through them all, but when you find one that you like, you're not disappointed because it really keeps going deeper and deeper. And great explorer, lets people talk, and just a good podcaster.
What was the one you listened to last night?
Yeah, well, actually, I wanna roll this over, no pun intended, or
Wasn't
maybe one intended, and then that's Rich Roll, and I'll put a whole bunch of stuff in the show notes, and then
I
we'll
was just curious. We don't have to talk about the podcast, but what was it? I'm just curious.
no, I want to talk about it in the very next podcast. It's with
Yeah.
Dr. Peter
Atia?
Attia, who's you know
Yeah.
uh, a driven dude too, and
He's a
has
good
his own
resource. Yeah, we should talk about him. Yeah.
and has his recovery story. So I'm gonna just recommend Rich Roll to anybody who is interested in a good podcast. Find one you like and see how it lands on you to listen to something that long. And I'm Pierre from Yoga Heals Everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that it's okay, everybody, to listen to half a podcast or a little bit of one. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. It's not like you have to finish every book you pick up and finish it. So I'm gonna give everybody permission to do that. And
That's good. No, that's good.
I'm Maureen, Landscapes for Learning. Learn to live and live to learn.
Cool. Peace through grace, Maureen. Peace through grace.